Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of SLP's Wine and Cheese. I'm Deb.
And I'm Maria.
And welcome our lovely guest, Tanya.
Hi. Hi, guys.
Is it Tanya or Tanya?
It's Tanya.
Tanya. We have a friend from grad school whose name was Tanya and spelled like yours, and everyone called her Tanya. And
I did. I didn't know her name was Tanya.
Oh, so. I would always correct everyone.
You may have corrected me, and I still didn't fix it.
Okay.
So shame on you for not fixing it.
Her name was Tanya. Every time she let it slide, I'd be like, "Excuse me, we have a problem here."
Now I remotely remember that.
Yeah.
I think I may have just called her Tanya just to kind of annoy you.
No, her name is Tanya.
You know what I mean.
She's
Tanya.
Tanya.
No, Tanya.
Anyway, so Tanya's here. Tanya Lujan is a speech pathologist out of Texas. She's a certified orofacial myologist and NPC bikini competitor. In addition to all of this, she's also a wife, a mother, and a business owner. We have so much to learn from you, Tanya. But first, I think Maria's going to talk to us about what we're drinking.
Yes. Let's get to some important stuff.
Right. Yes. What is that?
Okay. So we're drinking the Pinot Project wine. It's a California wine. It's a Pinot Noir, and it's a 2017. So did you know that actually Pinot Noir is considered a noble grape? Because in France, that's what it was coveted by the kings and the commoners. So that's what we're drinking. And we have some Lillet goat. So just original goat cheese.
Yes.
And I have to say, I really like this combination. I'm like pretty impressed. Because Deb, you selected this wine and cheese, and I was like, wow, this is fancy.
Thank you. Look how impressed she is, because she's like, usually what you pick is trash. But actually, one of my CFs, she gifted me this wine. So thanks, Alana.
Thank you, Alana.
For the Pinot Grigio. I wrote, drink it.
Definitely drink it. So, and with the cheese combination, I felt like, I don't know, now that it's saying noble grapes, I'm feeling a little like, oh, this is like fancy.
Oh, like you're royal?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't say it, you did, so thank you. But I like it. Definitely drink it.
Maria is trying to constantly tell me she's a princess.
Yeah, I'm not, but she's just interpreting it that way. So,
I'm pretty sure sentences have been like, because I am a princess. That's been her.
I may have said that just once, but, I feel like that's now part of her core language, So, whatever.
So, Tanya, what are you drinking?
I'm actually drinking a combination of green tea and peppermint and dandelion root. So it's an herbal combo.
Oh.
Yeah, just after a long therapy day, I kind of mix it up. I grab random bags of like herbal teas and just mix them together.
Oh,
I never thought of doing that.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, I'm going to try that tomorrow.
Yeah, sometimes I want green tea and peppermint tea, and I have to choose.
Right, now you do
know more.
Don't choose. I put peppermint in everything just because, peppermint or chamomile, because it adds either that minty or that kind of sweet from the chamomile, essence to it. So it makes, green tea's kind of got that earthy flavor. So I always have to mix it with either peppermint or chamomile.
Yeah, that's already with the tips and tricks. Already. I don't even know.
We're blown away.
I know, like we're speechless.
Nothing to say. End the episode now.
I know.
That was enough tips and tricks for everyone. So.
But Maria did make up an icebreaker game.
I did make up an icebreaker game, Tanya. So, I think you're going to wow us away with this one, too. So
it's a word association game?
Yeah, pretty much. So, pretty much, I'm going to give you a word, phrase, and you have to give me one word to describe it. So, again, there's no right or wrong answer. It's just a way for the audience and us to get to know you a little bit better.
Okay.
All right, so you're just going to tell us the first word that comes to mind. All right, ready? And I have 15 questions. All right, one word to describe your personality. Go for it. Go.
So many.
I know, one word only. I know, it's hard, right?
Serious.
Okay. Your career.
Exciting.
Weight training.
Exhausting.
Yoga.
I don't know. I don't do yoga.
So, unknown maybe?
Unknown.
Unknown, okay. I gave her some cues there. Carbs.
No carbs.
So no, the word is no. Okay. Keto diet.
No.
No again. Coffee.
Yes.
Okay.
See, this is when I started doing it too.
Okay, so we were looking for more like adjectives or adverbs.
But when she was doing this game to me, I was like, "You're stressing me out."
Okay.
I just started yes, no, yes, no.
Yes, no, yes.
All right. I don't think this one's a yes, no question. Friendship.
Fun.
Okay.
Yeah.
Love.
Fun.
Okay. Family.
Fun.
Okay.
I
Okay.
was very exhausting.
All right. Your session note.
Complicated.
Okay. Your weakness.
Chocolate.
Okay. Your strength.
Green tea.
Okay.
Tea. One word.
Texas.
Big.
Okay.
That's what I said too.
Right. Motherhood.
Stressful.
All right.
That's what I
The end.
said too. I'm not even a mom, but I was like, we were on the same page with a lot of these questions.
I was thinking painful.
Painful?
No, just in all aspects.
Oh.
Mentally, physically, emotionally.
That's funny.
That's from what I hear. I don't know.
So, Tanya, I have questions for you for real now.
Mine are not real?
They're definitely real, but it was like I'm sweating.
Right.
So,
That's what serious questions will do to you. They will
Yeah, I think I was sweating a bit too. I was like,
guys, that was supposed to be fun. You know?
yeah, and I think fun was my answer for everything. I was like, fun. I just try to make everything fun.
Well, maybe you're having a fun life and everything is just fun as it should be. So there you go.
Yeah, you're like Mary Poppins. In every job that must be done, there is an element of fun. You find the fun and snap, the job's done.
Wow. Impressive, but also concerning you knew all that.
Oh, I'm not the only one. I'm sure people in their cars right now are saying the same thing.
I'm sorry. I'm just saying.
Okay, so Tanya, where are you from and where did you go to school?
I'm from Odessa, Texas, way over here, West Texas. I'm about an hour from New Mexico. I went to school. I did my undergraduate at Abilene Christian University in Abilene and got my master's at Texas Women's University and ended up back here in West Texas.
Oh, nice.
So you've been in Texas basically your whole life?
All my life, yeah.
Okay.
You don't have a very strong Texas accent.
No, I know. Right?
I don't know.
I was thinking that too.
Yeah. Is there does Texas really have like a southern draw?
I think our main thing is just the y'all,
Okay.
y'all, just, but not really. I mean, not here.
Uh-huh.
Depends. I guess it depends.
Yeah, I've spoken to a couple of people of Texas, and they say some have it thicker than others, but maybe in some words it'll come out more. Same for New York. Same for any accent, dialectal accent. But anyway, so did you always know you wanted to be an SLP?
I did actually for quite a while. My mom was a teacher, and so I knew I wanted to work with kiddos. I didn't necessarily want to be a teacher.
Right. Yes. I say that all the time.
Something along those lines.
Yes.
But I also like the aspect of the medical field.
Yes.
And then at some point for I think sociology class in undergrad, we did a project. It was my community college was for find a career, research it, and I did that. And speech pathology kind of came up. Mm-hmm. Researched it and was like, hey, this is perfect.
Yeah, look at that.
I can work in the schools. I can work in a medical setting. I can kind of do a little bit of what I always wanted to do. So that's kind of how that led me here.
Okay. So do you work only now in private practice, or are you also a little bit in the school system as well?
I work strictly private practice, but in my area, there's just such a lack and need of speech pathologists. I get called from a lot of the surrounding small city schools, sometimes for testing. I speak Spanish, so I get a lot of calls sometimes for bilingual testing because they don't have a bilingual speech pathologist. So that's kind of my connection. I think I'll always have a connection to the schools. So I do primarily, I'm in the clinic, but I do still come out a little bit to home health and a little bit to help out in the surrounding school districts.
Oh, wow. Okay. So you dabble a little bit in the school districts.
Yeah, there's a need, and so it'll always kind of bring me back.
That's wonderful that they like seek you out too, and you do that. So what is orofacial myology, and in which settings is it used in like which populations?
So orofacial myology essentially is, I guess, the study treatment entails all of the orophacial complex, mouth muscles, oropharyngeal muscles, and kind of the underlying important thing for us, because it controls then speech, breathing, eating, where our tongue is at rest, essentially, and where all those functions should be. And if they're not, then we have then some deficits and disorders in speech and speaking and swallowing and chewing, and we get tongue thrusts and even bolus formation, things like that. So definitely the underlying muscle structures have to be working appropriately to be able to develop appropriately in a child per se. But I work with really across the lifespan, because some of the orophacial work and muscle work that I do in these kiddos, that I might have a home health patient, later in the day who's had a stroke, or and I may be able to then use some of those orophacial exercises and some hands-on stuff to help them regain some muscle strength in their tongue or lips or cheeks. Same thing with the infants, with babies who are maybe having trouble with lip seal or bottle feeding, spoon feeding, cup drinking. All of that has this underlying orophacial muscle component to it. So really could be newborns that come. The majority of them are, I would say, between the ages, for me personally in clinic, between the ages of 4 and maybe 12.
Okay, so it's mostly pediatrics, but not limited to.
Not limited to, yeah. We get a lot of babies, and really it's even adults who maybe had some underlying orophacial muscle weakness disorder, tongue thrust, tongue tie at some point that was never remediated. And so now as adults, then it's kind of, then they have some deficits maybe with their bruxing or their snoring or open mouth postures later in life, because that was kind of missed early on in childhood.
Oh,
wow. That's interesting.
Yeah. So you're up on that.
Yeah. What motivated you to pursue this certification?
Initially, it was before I even knew that was something I was interested in. I wanted to focus kind of my work in speech pathology. It's so broad. I wanted to specialize and focus on something. I wanted to set myself apart somehow.
Right.
And so I got my first tongue thrust patient and was like, I'm not sure what to do with you. Your tongue's just not staying in your mouth.
Right.
I sought out, I kind of got online and was like, I'm always looking for continuing education or workshops or what can I do? And I saw a conference in San Antonio. I was like, this is it. I'm just going to go for the weekend and find out all about tongue thrust.
Wow.
And what it ended up being, accidental by fate, I guess, the annual convention for the IAOM, the International Association of Orofacial Myofunctional.
Oh.
So I ended up there at the annual convention. Well, it being the annual convention, we had so many speakers, like Melanie Podock was there and several others. And so really it was just like the tip of the iceberg. And they were like, oh, this is a whole new world. And, you know, you can continue on with your education and eventually become certified in this. And so really after that, it wasn't even for the certification. It was like, I need to know more about this.
Yeah,
Right. That's how I feel. That's all I'm thinking. Everything you're saying. So is this field, is it based off of speech pathology? Like, is it founded by speech pathologists, or is it like, did it like stem from the medical field?
Like dentistry, perhaps.
It's a lot of so it's comprised mainly of clinicians specializing in dentistry, dental hygiene, or speech pathologists.
Okay.
It goes way back, years, actually. It's just a field that a lot of times, even me in graduate school, we were told, stay away from oral motor. Oral motor is a bad word.
This is what I'm like, this is what's going through my brain right now. And it's like, people are like, stay away from oral motor, but then it's like, you get these kids and you're like, well, what do you want me to do?
And I always felt like I'm sitting across the table from this kiddo, but I feel like I could be missing something.
Right.
I'm missing something. I've got to be doing something, because sitting across from the table, their tongue, their lips, it's just not doing what it's supposed to be doing. And so there was that missing component, and I was always told oral motor is a bad word and stay away. Blowing a cotton ball across a table is not going to help, you know, with produce a certain sound or whatnot, which so it was something that I was always skeptical of until I dove in deeper and I saw, you know, research and case studies and professionals in our field who had all this extensive data. And then I believed. And then I said, I want to help others. I want to do this too. And this is probably the missing link to why some of the patients I had for years never made any progress. Some of the articulation kiddos and open mouth postures, some kiddos were drooling. And so what was the original question?
Just maybe like, why did you want to pursue this certification? Well, I mean, you're showing that you're passionate about it, so it's great that
I could go on and on. Yeah. So basically, that was it. Once I learned and I knew things, I felt like I knew nothing, and I was like, now everything I thought I knew, maybe doesn't make any sense to me. I need to know more, and I need to know more. And it just makes total sense, you know, for kiddos who maybe couldn't make an L or T or a D, they were tongue-tied maybe, and they couldn't make that lingual tip elevation to alveolar, you know, ridge, because they physically couldn't move their tongue. Right. The kids in open mouth posture, the same thing. They didn't have that lip seal, so they were using their teeth and bottom lip to make bilabials instead of their lips, you know. And so it just all was connected. Same thing with eating. Kiddos who had a preference for soft foods, well, they didn't eat chewy foods because they couldn't lateralize their tongue to work those chewy, crunchy foods. So they had to eat soft foods, you know, chicken nugget and mac and cheese. You know, and so it just all was a bunch of pieces, and they all just started to come together and make sense with this additional knowledge in orofacial myofunctional disorders and muscle. So that's kind of where I'm at this point. It's been maybe only 2.5 years, but it's been a constant learning process. Like, I would say every other month or every few months, I'm flying somewhere, or driving somewhere, or tuning in to some conference, or collaborating with groups of other orofacial, you know, professionals in the field. Study groups. We have a big study group on Facebook, oral myofunctional study group.
Yes, I've heard of that one. I don't know if I'm in that one or not. But.
Yeah. So my friend Linda D'Onofrio is in Portland, Oregon. And she is like a pioneer here and had created the study group. And so now at this point, there's international members, all a part of this group. Dentists, a lot, you know, anybody that works in the mouth, you know, clinicians, providers, dentists, comprised of a dentist, orthodontist, speech pathologist, RDHs. So, they can become
There's all
certified.
sorts of people that, and really
Yeah,
everyone is associated with the mouth, it seems.
Right.
So,
Yeah. And
can
it's
you describe some tools or techniques related to this practice? So, like, what are you actually doing?
a lot of it is, I use a lot of talk tools,
Mm-hmm.
chewy tubes if we're working on strengthening masseter, we're working on chewing, because some of these kiddos have a preference for soft food, then they end up having weak masseter, weak cheek muscles, because it affects facial development, because ultimately the strength and the pressure that you put on your bones when you're chewing helps to develop your face. So I do a lot of chewing with the chewy tubes from Talk Tools. I use a lot of like real food. Kids will work for food anyway.
Right.
So goldfish,
Yeah, I work for food too.
gummy worms. I do a lot of I use the jaw grading bite blocks for jaw stability. For working on isolating the tongue from the mandible, so we can get the tongue moving, because a lot of these kiddos, they're not dissociating the tongue from the mandible. To them it's like one piece, which in like the gliding Y-in, so they're Y-in, the whittle Y-in, they're not moving their tongue. Their tongue essentially is to them part of their mandible, and so they need to be able to isolate the tongue so that the tongue moves independently.
Right.
So we need to so we work on jaw stability and jaw grading, to get the tongue moving independently to help with speech.
Yeah.
So I do a lot of that.
Because the jaw is attached to the tongue is attached to the jaw. So if the movements are jaw driven, if the jaw is sliding and moving all around, how do you expect that tongue to go up if the jaw is moving? So you have
The jaw's doing all the work, right? The jaw's grading, the jaw's sliding. So a lot of my goals are to with no obvious, all right, jaw sliding or grading. Patient will maybe lingual elevation to produce maybe L, T, or D with no jaw sliding or grading. So we're trying to strengthen the tongue and help the tongue make these isolated movements without the jaw moving all over the place. So a lot of talk tools, a lot of goldfish. I use a lot of goldfish to help stabilize. It's fun for them, but I'll put a goldfish in their front teeth, inside upper central incisors in the front or in the sides. So I do a lot of that.
Okay. Do you work a lot of use a lot of words also, in combination with that, or how is the session? Let's say, I guess structured, so without it giving us away all your magic secrets. No, I'm just kidding. Do you do half and half, or is the session mostly oral motor, or is it
So it depends on the kiddo. It's kind of a hierarchy. So I mean, first, of course, breathing. If they're mouth breathing, we want to fix that first, and so it just depends on the kiddo and where they're at. Breathing, we want to make sure lips are closed and the tongue is resting where it needs to be. So depending on them, if maybe we just start working orofacial, close your lips, put your tongue where it needs to go. And then with time, as they start meeting these goals and their orofacial complex starts to be more normalized, then we can start working on speech. So it's crazy because first we work on everything else, last we work on speech. And so I work on lips and cheeks and tongue. And then once they can do all that and breathing is right and tongue is where it needs to be and there's nothing else going on like enlarged tonsils or tongue ties, and everything starts to be normalized with this neuromuscular reeducation, then we work on speech.
Right.
So it depends on the kiddo.
I'm sorry, I almost cut you off. But you're increasing sensory awareness to these aspects of their face, whereas before they probably didn't dissociate or even perceive. So I feel like having an exercise regimen, similarly to going to the gym, kind of makes the speech therapy session a bit more concrete. And it puts sensory information where that individual wasn't perceiving things developmentally or independently on their own.
But also like even your verbal feedback too, like maybe the sensory part, because that's like, you know, I don't know, controversial in the research, but like at least the verbal aspect of, oh, let me see your lips together, like that right there. Like maybe no one even like really explained that to them. Like, oh, my lips have to be closed. Like, show me ready mouth. Because I do a lot of that too. I do, I'm like working on my prompt project. And that sounds like a lot of the stuff that I've learned with prompt about like the jaw and the tongue and all that stuff and the grading. So a lot of it is like the verbal feedback too of like, oh, are your lips together?
Right. Or
you know?
sometimes they're like, sure, my lips are together, but they don't perceive that. They don't, because they're not looking at themselves.
Yeah, I'm like, where are your lips or where's your tongue? I can
Right
can visibly see their tongue in between their teeth, low line hanging out, and I'm like, where's your tongue on the spot? They're like,
Yep,
yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's 100%. It's there.
Mhm.
I know. That's what I feel like I have too. That's why I like to use. I use my throat scope. I use my QE tubes because sometimes I'm just like poking kids. Like, no, here, look, this is what I want. Just to like put some sensory input there to be like, this is where I want you to make contact. So it's just nice to hear everything that you're telling us. So we have one more question left.
I was going to say one more thing,
okay.
just because, you know, oral motor is that like controversial topic. But I think, I mean, I could correct me if I'm wrong. I think that the research with that study and that came out that oral motor doesn't help and like blowing bubbles isn't going to help. But I think that's if there's an absence of an anatomical issue. So if the person or the client does not have a tongue tie and you're working on blowing bubbles, then it might not help with, then it most likely will not help with speech. So I think in this situation, it's a little different because they do have like an anatomical issue, right? Like a tongue tie or something like that. That's preventing them.
Right. And since then, Diane Barr and Christy Gatto have had a presentation recently, and it's just full of resources, full of, you know, people want to see, where can I read this, or where can I see this, where's the data? And so here recently, there's lots of it, you know, lots of recent stuff. A lot of studies coming out of Brazil and other places as well. So
but then you also said it's a hierarchy, so it's like it's not like you're like blowing bubbles and then like, okay, now say the SH, like you know. So it's not. I don't know. I feel like the way you're describing it, it's more foundational. And that there's a distance, there's a long distance before you even like translate it over to speech. Like you have to accomplish other things.
Right. Yeah. Lips closed, tongue to spot. You know, you have to be able to chew and lateralize and do all these things before then you can kind of work on speech. I do a lot of Beckman, of the Deborah Beckman protocol as well. So I incorporate that. I use the Beckman protocol. I've done with the Chow some myofascial release. So I feel like it all together, it's just a bunch of tools in my toolbox, but they're all related. And they all essentially have the same goal, to help muscle function and the underlying muscle function dysfunction to be normalized, then to be able to speak, breathe, chew, swallow.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah.
That sounds great that you have that you incorporate so much, and but you're still looking at it like with this like oral myofunctional lens, but you're incorporating all these different things to get to your goal, to accomplish whatever that client needs.
Right.
So, I mean, sounds like you're very passionate about this. So to whoever's listening, they might be curious. So what is the certification process like? And is this something you recommend for other SLPs?
Absolutely. I think that that every speech pathologist should, you know, at least seek out some continuing education at some point. We all need it anyway, into some orofacial myofunctional therapy. Talk Tools has some. I think it's speechpathology.com has some. So a lot of the sites we're already on, getting our CEUs, are already incorporating a lot of the orofacial myofunctional topics, whether it be tongue ties or orofacial myology. What is it? And orofacial myofunctional therapy. How does it apply to us in the school setting, in the medical setting? Because it applies to all of us in one way or another, regardless of the patient. So absolutely, whether or not you seek out full certification, just training in itself and getting some more information will be beneficial to you in your therapy on a daily basis with all patients.
Yeah, that's great. And then the clinician, the SLP, can decide how far they want to go into it, but just to dip their toe in the water and open their.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But I think just by doing that, it's like, oh gosh, I need to know more.
Right.
Because, yeah. Yeah, and it's with the International Association or Orofacial Myology is the only certifying body. So there's the AOMT, the Association of Orofacial Myofunctional Therapy, I believe. They're out of California. The IAOM is the only certifying body, and you need to take initially like an intro 28-hour course. Mm-hmm. That's just an introduction. It's very in-depth. Mm-hmm. It's a very in-depth 4-day course. And so that's just that's for people that want to pursue certification, like I said. But I feel like just by, getting into some talk tools or some, CEU type stuff and getting a little bit of it, you would want to maybe pursue some certification later, because it's once you know more, you want to know more, and it's a pattern, and it continues.
Yeah, I want to know more. I'm very thirsty for knowledge. This episode of SLP's Wine and Cheese is brought to you by SpeechTherapyPD.com. It's a 100% SLP-owned website that specializes in practical, engaging, evidence-based video and audio courses. There's more than 600 hours of courses available on demand.
Yes, there are weekly live and interactive courses and pod courses. They offer unlimited plans starting at $89 a year. And now you can get $10 off with the code WINE, WINE. So enter WINE at checkout.
And now back to our show. We've reached the halfway point, so here we're going to start doing some housekeeping where we can let you know where you can find us. So if you're listening to this, please go and write us a little review on iTunes. And the first 5 people to write a review in 2019, I'm going to send you some of my coloring books. So go ahead and do that for me, please. I would very much appreciate it. Unless you hate it, then don't do it. Don't do that.
Then if they hate it, they would probably also hate your coloring books as well.
Exactly. So then they wouldn't even be motivated.
Right. But if they hate it, they wouldn't be listening to this right now also.
Right. That's true. Maybe.
You never know.
You never know who's
out there listening.
You never know.
Just saying.
But we love all of you.
Right. Yes.
Yeah, we're full of love.
Yes. You can follow us on Instagram at SLP's Wine and Cheese Pod _ between each word. Through our Instagram, you can see our Patreon. Go to our bio. You'll see my page. You'll see Deb's page. You can go visit our Patreon. I just made a cool little printable I'm going to put on for Freebie Friday.
Wonderful.
Yes, it's for the TH sound sneak peek.
We have all sorts of free printables on the Patreon. We have videos of our podcast episodes, and we have bonus episodes on the Patreon. So it's www.patreon.com/SLP's Wine and Cheese. Go check it out, because even if you're not a patron, there's still some things you have access to.
Right. Yes. Good. Yeah. So, Tanya, where can they find you?
They can find me at www.westtexasspeech.com. I don't have an Instagram for the page. I have my personal Tanya Manriquez Lujan IG, which is I'm like, that's my life. So there's some speech stuff on there. There's some life stuff on there, and there's my MPC Bikini life on there. But
we're gonna get into that. So stay listening to this episode.
So my main source would be my website at westtexasspeech.com.
Okay.
Now, and our Facebook page, of course, West Texas Speech.
Cool. Yeah, definitely give that a look. And so let's go into what you just said is part of your life, fitness and nutrition. So give us a little bit of a background about that, and then we have some lovely questions for you. So how you went into it, and just, what motivated you to enter bikini competitions?
So I've always, I would say, not been totally fit. I've been like, many of us are, go to the gym a couple of seasons, maybe write New Year's resolution or getting ready for vacation type, go to the gym time, and then stop, not go for, a long time. I needed something, the way I work, I need to set myself a goal and some accountability.
Right.
And so for me, it was, you know what, I think I'm going to just go out on the edge here and I'm going to do a bikini competition. And so
thought of that, you were just like, this is what I feel like I should do.
Yeah, I always do the extreme. I always go to the extreme. It's never like, I'm just going to do a little bit of this. Like, I'm going to go
big or go home.
Yeah, I always come up with these extreme goals for myself. Yeah. And then I make myself do them. Good. So I said, I'm going to.
So good for you.
Yeah, it was on Instagram, and I saw a girl in a bikini on stage, and I was like, I think I'm going to do that. And that's a good motivator to get me to the gym and be consistent. So coincidentally, I was following, I don't know how, it was fate, I was following my coach. And I was like, why am I following this guy? Hey, it turns out he's a trainer. So I ended up contacting him and was like, hey, I think I want to do a show. And this was last year, maybe August, end of July, August. He's like, okay, we have 16 weeks to prepare. And it was.
That's real. That's real life. 16 weeks. I'd be like, okay. Well,
so this was last August 2016.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you're still pretty new to this then.
I am.
Okay, so you prepared for that. So you've entered this competition one time so far?
Yeah, so so I also made it a birthday goal. My birthday is December 7th, and the competition was on December 8th.
Wow.
Oh, wow, nice.
So how was that? Did you take any ribbons home?
Yeah, actually, yeah. So
congratulations. Here's to that.
Here we are. We will, consume beverages in our. That's our contribution.
That's right. Yeah, because we are not.
Yeah. I'm fit. I'm just not like bikini competition fit. Or maybe I will. Maybe I'm gonna be inspired.
Yeah, there's your new goal.
Maybe Tanya is my new goal. Maybe I could be Tanya. She could be Tanya, and I could be how do you pronounce it?
Tanya.
See,
I bet Tanya's listening, and she's gonna be like Maria.
Yeah, but she knows I love her. Doesn't matter. I can't say her name.
So, what ribbons did you take home?
So I brought home 2 trophies. It was a Texas Cup, so they had cups. So I was excited because I always wanted.
You got like, oh, okay.
Oh, that's cool.
Wait, take a picture.
Hold on.
You got cut move again, so we can take a picture.
So because this is audio, everyone's probably like, what is she doing? So she's pretending to hold this big chalice cup, I should say.
Let's see it.
But yeah, we'll get it.
There we go.
I got a boomerang of it, actually.
Okay,
But you shall see this, people.
That's so good. I could even picture you. So you must have been super excited.
Yeah. I brought home 2. In the novice category, in the new bikini competitor category, and then I brought home.
They had their own. Oh, did your coach tell you like, I think, like, what was your coach saying to you? Like, I think you got a shot at this. There's a new bikini competitor category.
Well, he was like, I'm not going to put you on stage unless I think you're ready. But basically, he was like, you're ready. Go whatever category you think you're going to go for. Like, you're going to get something. And so there was about 28 girls in each category. And so I got 3rd place in one and 5th place in the other.
Wow.
So I came back with 2 trophies in my first competition. And all it did was motivate me to want to continue and kind of see what else I could do. Because I thought, I'm a newbie. I've only been building muscle for this amount of time.
Right.
So if I continue, who knows?
Right, because then it became just like way more tangible for you. You're like, I've already done it once, so you can keep going.
Yeah, so I got third place. Maybe next time I'll get first place, you know, and so that's kind of, so I'm actually doing another show during spring break
Great.
in Vegas.
So, in Vegas.
Wow.
Well, I feel like you need supporters there.
I know, we should go to
I
Vegas.
feel like
Yeah, I've
would be
been
awesome.
wanting to go there again. I went once, it was fun. But I'll go
three
again.
times.
Four times. Maria's always traveling.
I love to travel. She's like knocking down my traveling. Like, all right, I'm sorry, I don't want to stay home and not explore the world.
Right, I agree. I
Deb.
Brooklyn has everything.
I mean, it does. But
I'm sure there's a Texas part of Brooklyn.
I like Brooklyn.
Yeah.
I like to travel a little bit more.
Right. All right. Well, can you describe 3 of your favorite exercises and like the areas that those exercises target?
I was thinking like cardio, arms, core, and butt.
Okay.
I pushed the button. I hope I didn't.
All right. Don't push any more buttons.
All right. I'm sorry.
Sometimes you gotta like get Maria under control.
Right. Yes. I cannot be tamed.
Yeah.
Like Miley Cyrus. I'm just kidding. All right. So favorite workout for like cardio. Favorite cardio workout.
favorite cardio workout's gonna be the step meal. Yeah, I hate it. I'd rather jog or get on the treadmill. I don't like the bike. I don't know, the bike and the ski machine, all that. I just feel like I'm not really doing anything.
Yes.
Plus, the coach prefers that I jump on this step mill because it is working glutes and hamstrings and calves. It's like core. So I love the step mill. I'm on that thing like daily or every other day for at least 30 to 40 minutes.
Wow. Do you listen to music or watch TV?
Yeah, I listen to music. I have a variety of playlists. I have like the go super fast and work hard playlists, and then I have the I'm in the zone. It's more relaxed music, and then I have a variety of playlists.
Yeah, well, you can hopefully listen to this while you're on the Stairmaster right now. Keep going. Keep stepping.
And then what about for arms?
Arms, I like tricep stuff. Just because I think as women in general, we just
you like get that like you're trying to get some salt or like create.
They call that something. Oh, Batwoman arms.
I don't know, whatever it is.
But we also women tend to store fat there, so yes.
Yeah. So I really like the tricep, like the dumbbell overhead tricep extension, where you just have barbells and you're just kind of and that's a good exercise for that. And like I like that. A little bit of biceps. I just feel like, I don't know, I prefer to work the back of my arm than.
Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, I would much like to tone that part rather than having like a very toned.
Same here.
Bicep.
I like it on the TRX though. I don't know. Have you tried TRX? Probably.
No.
Oh, okay. You should try it. I don't know, like what your goals are and stuff, but I think it's pretty cool because you use your own body weight. I think.
Yeah. I'm always willing to try different things. Like I was doing a spin class. I did it a couple of times. I almost died.
Oh no.
On a few Saturdays.
I like that feeling. I'm like, can't breathe. I gotta do that again.
So yeah, that's cool. That's my favorite cardio.
And so since Deb's New Year's resolution.
Well, no, it isn't my resolution. It's just something that I want. Like it's not something I'm actively pursuing. But like, yeah, I'm always complaining that I have no butt. So what's your favorite butt exercises?
I would say glutes, the Romanian deadlifts, and maybe like barbell rolls, hip thrusters.
All right, I'll look those up.
Yes,
Thank you.
Deb, do you think you could do this? This guy looks scary. There's like a picture of this guy with this scary amount of weight in his arms.
Yeah, I'm positive I could but I never had that push yet, but I'll get there.
You'll get there.
I think
I'll
like
help you.
once I get to the point in my life, like right after I have kids, that's when I'm gonna be
I
like.
thought you were gonna do this like in this year.
No, I never intended that to happen.
Okay, I misunderstood.
I'm pretty like I mean I wish I was Tanya, but I'm pretty happy with like what I have going on. So like I'm not like I don't have anything pushing me there yet.
Got it.
But I'm sure I will down the line.
Okay.
But I'm really happy with handstands right now. That's all I want to master. I do handstands every day, multiple times, and I just want to be able to stand independently for a long period of time controlled. That's my goal. Yeah.
Deb and I love yoga.
So did we go through all the fitness stuff?
Yes, she did.
So then now also, so like when you're getting fit, you also have to take into consideration the things that you're consuming. So like, do you have any like competition ready breakfasts, lunches, or dinners and snacks that are your go-tos?
Basically whatever my coach tells me to eat.
Oh, that's convenient. That's good. Nice.
It consists of lots of eggs, lots of lean proteins. The 2 weeks in the week of the peak weeks, when you're trying to get like shredded to be stage ready, it's literally just white fish and vegetables, or chicken and vegetables, in very small amounts, like 6 times a day.
Wow.
Right. Yeah, so it's like about frequency.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like when I was my most fit and thinnest, that's how I ate. Like I worked all day, so I just had so many like little baggies of food, and I would just eat like a whole bag of carrots, or like a bag of string beans, or a bag of watermelon, bag of raspberries, bag of chicken.
Keep you full longer. I noticed that.
And like sometimes you just want to eat something quick because you're like running between clients and stuff. So it's like easy. It was easier for me to manage my life at that time when I was operating that way. So speaking of, do you feel like health and fitness, they help you with your career, or do you think that like it distracts you from it a bit?
I think initially I was unsure. I thought maybe it was a distraction because I was so new at it. I had to like set timers on my phone for food, and I didn't plan for it. So I might've been in the middle of a session, but obviously I had to wait till the session was over so I could run to the break room and grab my chicken and green beans. Right. But then now I feel like now I've planned for it. So now I have maybe a 15 or 30-minute break between patients at meal 2 or meal 3. So now I'm much more prepared to run and get food between patients. And it's just, it all flows, and it's so much easier now. And it's just helped me, speaking of the meal prep, is that I used to run like during a break or during lunch to run to go get in a drive-through line. What am I going to get today? Another burger or a burrito? And so now it's like I can actually sit here and eat what I packed and do my notes or work on my eval, my report, make calls, check voicemails instead of fighting traffic, for an hour.
Right.
So I feel like that's been, initially it was hard to work it all in, therapy, life, and the fitness. But now at this point, I'm like, it's just almost become a part of my life, and it all fits so neatly now, and it's super easy.
This episode has been cut off, so we're going to just skip to the tips or tricks. Yes. So Tanya's tip or trick was to use goldfish in speech therapy sessions. So to work on, let's say, jaw stabilization, she said, to place the goldfish between the upper teeth and the lower teeth and have the child, if you tell them, make it a game. And she said, if you break the goldfish, you lose. So she worked on jaw stabilization exercises like that. So my tip or trick, I was inspired by the episode to take all your sugary cereals and make a craft with them. Like, for instance, if you have... what is it, the colored one? Lucky Charms, or I forgot the other one.
Fruit Loops?
Fruit Loops, yes. You make a rainbow.
I know my cereals.
Yes, good for you. You can make a rainbow with them. You can categorize them and just, take them out of your pantry and work them into your speech therapy sessions.
That would be good for Valentine's Day. You can draw a heart on a paper and then have the child glue the cereals in to be like a rainbow heart.
Yeah, and you could make like it could be like a motor drill or something, you know, like even for speech sounds or
Right.
whatever
and then
you're
you have to
working
like
on.
decrease impulsivity because you don't want to break them. The
Yes.
whole ones are the ones that you want. And
Fine
then also-
motor,
Yeah.
hand-eye coordination. So, what's your tip or trick?
My tip or trick was to love actually the kids by like holding up signs one at a time to have them read them. And I did that when I wasn't feeling well. I was like, the first sign said, today Miss Brooks doesn't feel well. And then the second sign said, so let's be calm and quiet. And then I drew like, shh. And they had fun. They read it. And then I wrote a joke.
Oh, cool.
So like the setup was one card, and that was how do you make a tissue dance? And then the next one was you put a little boogie in it. And that, yeah,
good
the kids
one.
didn't get it. They're like
Well-
boogie, what boogie?
Right. Yeah. Well, that's why you're working on jokes, right?
Exactly,
There
yeah.
goes your
It was fun.
rationale.
That's right. Also reading.
Yeah.
You know,
of course.
you miss the message.
Right. Exactly. I
Mhm.
got it. Well, I got it. Good thing I got it. So we let Tanya pick the quote, and her quote was "Keep moving forward." So that's how she feels.
Yeah,
and
it's like just keep swimming.
I don't know what that is. Finding Nemo or
Yes.
Oh, okay, good
Good
guess.
guess.
I made an inference. Pretty good at inferencing. But yes, so thank you everyone for listening to our episode of SLP's Wine and Cheese. I'm Maria,
I'm Deb.
and Tanya said, "I'm Tanya. Good night."
Good night, guys.